upgrade Albo. This bloke is in a world of trouble, okay? Now, we're going to see whether he's going to try to find a way out of it, but I think that his attempts thus far are only digging him deeper. You know the story, but for those that are half paying attention, the story is pretty clear here, is that he was too close to the former CEO of Qantas, Joyce, that he was buying personal tickets to go on personal flights when at times he was the Transport Minister of the country, yet he was being upgraded. Now, upgraded, by the way, to business and potentially even first class in some situations, all right? Now, you and I wouldn't get that opportunity of pay economy, fly business. The idea that Albanese got it because at the time he was the Transport Minister, well, as other people have said, it's like a finance minister asking a financial institution for $50,000 because, remember, by giving the seat away, that is money that the company has chosen not to make, a decision that very obviously hyper-profit-focused companies like Qantas do not make lightly. Amazingly, Labor Party people were sent out there today to try to tell us the Jedi mind trick, nothing to see here. In fact, Albo's the victim.
I think this has been a complete pile-on the Prime Minister. I mean, it's been, he's publicly declared very, very clearly what he has been gifted, as has other MPs. And I think the pile-on from the coalition really shows that I think there's something to, if you are in a glass house, don't throw stones. We've seen many other MPs declare upgrades, and rightly so. They need to declare them, but Peter Dutton's taken upgrades, Bridget McKenzie's taken upgrades. You know, this is needs to be declared on the public register.
No. Don't let them spin out of this one. Just remember, and I'm going to say this 100 times so it gets into every single person right in the back row as well, okay? This story isn't necessarily about upgrades. It's definitely about upgrades for somebody who is the minister responsible for the area of government that Qantas deals with, that being the Transport Minister. And it's not about the ones that he may well have been automatically given. It is about whether he asked for them or not. The Prime Minister did his best today to try to push this thing away. He's only made it worse.
The person who is trying to sell a book, and fair enough, I don't see declarations that he's a former Liberal Party staffer for a number of senior members of the Liberal Party, including Joe Hockey and Bruce Baird. I don't see declarations he's a former Qantas employee. I don't see declarations that in June, just a few months ago, he was a guest, him and John Howard, at a Liberal Party fundraiser in the electorate of Wentworth.
OK, let's be serious. We all know that the book is about Qantas. Part of the Qantas story is how it was able to use soft power, which is a very polite way of saying access to a lounge where members of the public are not allowed in, or upgrades that mean you fly a little better than you were willing to pay, including for members of your family, and how that has seen that the people who are supposed to be keeping an eye on this company have in some ways been either doing its bidding or looking the other way, when very obviously there were issues in this company that we have all heard about, dealt with, and anyone who's flown recently, live with. So let's get back to the heart of all of this, right? And by the way, if anyone thinks the author is some sort of Peter Dutton acolyte, read anything he's ever written, right? This bloke is not going to be pro-Dutton. But anyway, he's clearly also not pro-us, definitely not pro-me. Now, that said, an extract of his book was available in the Channel 9 newspapers over the weekend. He works for the Financial Review. They got part of it. The Sydney Morning Herald, The Age and the Brisbane Times got the better bit. Now, let's be very clear. What is this story about? The Prime Minister wants to make it seem like, well, I declared everything and everything's the same. Remember, if you are a minister and you ask for a favour, which in this case is thousands of dollars worth of upgrades, it's as red hot as it gets. 3 extracts from the book. In July 2009, when he, Albanese, was the Transport Minister in the Rudd government but travelling in a private capacity, he received an upgrade to business class from Qantas from Sydney to Los Angeles, return flights. 1. April 2010, he and his son received a ticket upgrade from Sydney to Rome on return flights via the Qantas partner Emirates. No classes of travel were specified, making it impossible to know the precise monetary value of this gift, but it would have been in the vicinity of $10,000. Now, again, imagine the Finance Services Minister ends up getting a gift of $10,000 from a bank. What would people think? Again, July 2011, third trip. Still Transport Minister, Albanese accepted upgrades from Emirates, travelling unofficially to and from Europe. 3 flights, not as the minister, but as the citizen, yet he gets tens of thousands of dollars worth of gifts from Qantas. Doesn't matter if they are declared or not, it's about whether they were requested. On a personal trip to Hawaii, here we go, we now are in our 4th trip. December 29, 2012, he was upgraded to business class by Qantas from Honolulu to Sydney, and again, March 2013, we're now at 5 trips. Albanese travelled with Joyce as Qantas's inaugural flight to Dubai as part of its partnership with Emirates commenced in earnest. Prime Minister tries to pretend that last flight doesn't count because, well, he was just along for the ride, as was the media. Here's where it gets interesting. All of my colleagues have made reference to this tonight. I want to actually show you the text. There is a thing called the Ministerial Code of Ethics. These are, put simply, the rules under which many question time scandals are prosecuted, and put simply, if you are on the wrong side of these things, then you end up in a world of trouble. Things like the conduct for ministers or their code of ethics is things that Anthony Albanese, as opposition leader, was more than happy to use as the fulcrum to get rid of what he believed to be examples of the Liberal Party breaking the rules.
An ad man with no plan, a showman covering up a scam, shouty, belligerent, stubborn. He believes different standards should apply to him than apply to other Australians. But he is becoming tarnished by his own hubris, his own arrogance, writ large this week for all to see.
Now, every Prime Minister has the opportunity to rewrite, amend or start over when it comes to their own code of conduct for ministers. The text that I am about to read you is the code of conduct for ministers that Anthony Albanese put in place himself upon becoming Prime Minister in 2022. It has not changed since. It is available tonight on the Prime Minister and Cabinet's website. The section that we're going to talk about here, and apparently it is no different than previous governments, certainly the Rudd and Gillard governments, of which he was the Transport Minister, and was asking or still getting the tens of thousands of dollars worth of gifts out of Qantas, the single biggest company in the area that as Transport Minister he was regulating. All right, we'll start here with the overall section which deals with gifts. Don't worry, you don't have to squint, I'll squint for you. Section 3.18. Ministers in their official capacity may therefore accept customary official gifts, hospitality, tokens of appreciation, and similar formal gestures in accordance with the relevant guidelines, but must not seek, repeat, but must not seek or encourage any form of gift in their personal capacity. Of the 5 flights that we have talked about when he was the Transport Minister, when he was flying personally with his family on holidays overseas, did he get them or did he ask for them? Definitely, if he asked for them, he's in breach. That would mean that a Prime Minister of the day should have sacked him for doing so. The second section also very clear to me that he is on the wrong side of this and he is not going to be able to find a way out of it, and it will be the focus of the rest of this week and Parliament next week. Section 3.21. Ministers must not seek or accept any kind of benefit or other valuable consideration either for themselves or for others in connection with performing or not performing any element of their ministerial duties. So, If he asked Qantas, he's in breach of the first section. If he received, even without asking, he's in breach of the second. This would result in the termination of a ministry. Now, the Prime Minister is trying to kick up as much dust as possible to make the conversation about did he or did he not text or call or meet Alan Joyce. That's not the point. He could have asked the cleaner. He could have asked his cleaner to ask a Qantas cleaner on his behalf. But if he approached anyone anywhere in Qantas, he's in breach. By receiving those gifts, even if not asked, he is in breach. He, as opposition leader, would demand the sacking of the relevant minister. He himself should have been sacked by previous Prime Ministers. This document is from his own website, and this is the standard under which, presumably, he would sack his own Transport Minister. As for the Prime Minister, pay very close attention to how he answers a very direct question, because while he's already in trouble for the accepting, he's trying to get into the grey area about who was asked, not the company being asked.
Did you call Alan Joyce personally for these upgrades?
Look, the idea Qantas have a number in terms of bookings that are private bookings, and in terms of the only discussions that I can recall with Alan Joyce, certainly we discussed, not through calls, we discussed the first flight from Australia to Dubai on an A380.
Okay. See? He wants this to be about, did I call Alan Joyce? Did I text Alan Joyce? No. The second of the examples that he was in breach of, 5 times, according to the book, reads, ministers must not seek or accept. Okay? So if he asked for it, he's in a world of trouble. If he took it, which we know he did, he's in a world of trouble. Now, he might want to play word games here. It's a simple thing. Was there an upgrade or not? 5 have been proven. Did he ask for it or not? Well, that decides whether he breaks one rule or whether he breaks 2 rules. Rules that would get any other minister sacked, that every opposition, Labor or Liberal, would go after. Again, if this is tens of thousands of dollars worth of benefit, imagine it was the Financial Services Minister asking a bank for something that resulted in tens of thousands of dollars changing hands. Yes, it is that serious. Now, the Prime Minister will ultimately believe that he can survive all of this because, of course, it is the Prime Minister who decides whether there has been a breach of the Code of Conduct. The Prime Minister, if he lets himself off the hook, will have openly chosen not to apply the same standard to himself that another Prime Minister would be expected to apply to all other ministers. Peter Dutton can smell that this one is not ending, despite the fact that the Prime Minister is blaming all in sundry and, surprise, surprise, is not taking responsibility for himself.
Australians now are starting to question the integrity and the truthfulness of their Prime Minister. They know that he can't get the economy right, and now they're seeing a Prime Minister who can't lie straight in bed.
I'm telling you, upgrade Albo ain't going away. The hope might be that we're going to start talking about the Melbourne Cup, and the hope might be that we're going to start getting distracted by the United States. There are a couple of stages this thing goes, and I think it's going to be a slow burn. Parliament next week. First question, Prime Minister, yes or no? Do you believe that a minister should abide by the Minister's Code of Conduct? Yes or no? Second question, do you believe that a minister, if proven to be in breach, should lose their job? Yes or no? Those 2 questions, well, pretty obvious what the yes is. The no becomes evasive. It becomes obviously trying to set up a double standard. And we know that this bloke may have said that he was from somewhere else, but where he is right now, it's a bloody good view. and a very comfortable seat and some free champagne on the way. Peter Van Onselen, writing tonight in the Daily Mail, says the Prime Minister is in a scenario now where he should sack himself. Yes, this story is that significant.